Hi everybody, thanks for checking in. I'm pretty psyched today because I'm going to show you how to paint like Van Gogh, my favorite artist. Of course, Van Gogh was a traditional artist and he painted with oil paint, but there is a way how we can paint like Van Gogh digitally. Today I'm going to show you 8 simple steps to paint like Van Gogh digitally. Whether you like his work or not, Van Gogh is considered one of the best painters in the world. He's known for his use of rich colors and very loose brushstrokes. He was more concerned when conveying a certain feeling than painting the real. You might know him from this, or this one, or this one, or example this one, or this, or this. I freaking love flowers, so I thought it would be a cool idea to make a painting of a bouquet. Now, I want to use this image as an inspiration. Searching the web for a reference image, I eventually found this one. This image is really appealing to me because I really like the colors and the composition. You can draw along using this image, or you can pick your own image. It doesn't really matter, just be sure to pick an image that you find inspiring. Remember, Van Gogh painted what he felt, so you need to feel something when you see the image. So I've set up my workspace. Everything I need is in here, which makes it very easy for me to just work. Now here on the right you see some layering. Each step is going to be applied on a layer, and each layer is going to be used as a clipping mask over the base layer. Now the base layer is over here, and when we create a new layer, like this, and we hover between these two layers and put down the Alt button, then you can clip it. Now when you clip it, this is very handy because let's see what happens if we put down a line. Even if I'm drawing outside the border of the base layer, the line doesn't go outside. And this makes it handy when you're painting, that you don't have to be conscious of the borders of your painting. Let's start with our first step, the drawing. In this stage, we're looking for the composition of the drawing. It's not about being correct, but more about pleasing the eye and finding a nice distribution of the elements in the picture. Remember, we're not painting or drawing the real thing. You can just adjust things in shape or placement just the way you like it. This is your painting and you're using the reference. You're not a slave to the reference. The next steps are painting in the flats. And with the flats, I basically mean painting in the elements. These are the flowers, the leaves, the vase, and the background. Now what I really find inspiring in this image is the difference between the color of the leaves and the berries or the flowers. The red, because it's surrounded by green, really pops. But what I don't really like is the background, and this is gray. So I want to give this a different color. To find the right color, we need to think in color harmonies. And Van Gogh is famous for his use of complementary colors. This means two colors on the opposite of the color wheel. So for example, red opposite the green. If we look at this portrait, we can see that on the blouse he's using yellow next to blue. And in the shadows on the face, he's using red next to green. Also in this painting, he's using blue next to yellow. Color harmonies is not an exact science, so it gives you an idea on how to work with colors. To find color harmonies, you can use a website like color.adobe.com. Here on the left, you see all these different color harmonies. We have analogous, monochromatic, triad, compound. Now the image now has a complementary color scheme. We have red and greens, right? But I want to add another color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for a split complementary color scheme, and then we can use greens and blues. I think this will work. Now I know that I'm using red, greens and blues for the flats. It makes it a lot easier. But still I pay attention, because although this website says I need to use these three colors, I still need to find if they're really in harmony. So test them and try them out next to each other. And if it feels right, it's probably correct. In our third step, we're going to try to enhance the depth of the painting. Even though this is a painting of a bouquet, we can still add depth. Van Gogh really tried to put cooler colors into the back to create a more atmospheric perspective and warmer colors in the front. Now we're going to do this by painting in a red or a blue line, warm or cool, around the objects that are either far away or close by. Now remember to use the perks of digital work. Just work on different layers. Now in this layer, of course, we're also going to add a new line work, so we can slowly lower the opacity of the drawing we made because it's becoming less and less useful. In the fourth step, we're going to add a little bit of shadow to our painting. What's important here is that we're not only going to go darker with the values we have, we're also going to change a little bit with the hue, because this creates more variety into the painting. Each time you pick a certain area, so for example red, not only go towards the dark, but also move the hue slider a little bit more to the pink or the purple. And remember that while we're painting in these shadows, that we use the technique that Van Gogh is known for: short and small brush strokes. After dark comes light. In our fifth step, we're going to add the lights in the painting. Now here we're going to do the same technique as we did with the shadows. Don't only make things lighter, but also play with hue and saturation. This creates extra variety in our art piece. While picking your colors, really try to be bold. It's important to highlight certain areas, and these are not only done with making them lighter. You can really go a lot more saturated or really change the hue in certain areas. Don't be afraid, we can always delete stuff later. Our painting is really starting to look like something. But now when I look at the reference, I see some really dark spots. So now it's time to really add some deep shadows. The Impressionists always work with a color, so try to stay away from a full black. And as we did in the previous layers, you can guess it, feel free to change the hue or saturation of the deep shadows. The most important thing is to stay loose. If we look at this painting, for example, you can see that Van Gogh is really playing with the angle of the brushstrokes. The grass is overall vertical brushstrokes, while the sky is more horizontal brushstrokes. Apart from the angle of the brushstrokes, Van Gogh worked with oil paint, and he mixed the colors on the canvas. Now, of course, so far we've been working on different layers, so there's no interaction of these layers with each other. We can achieve this effect by using the mixer brush tool. Now the mixer brush tool can be found over here. If you hold it down, here you can see the mixer brush tool. Now the mixer brush tool works a bit like copy pasting. Let me show you what I mean with this. If I add a new layer and I go back to a normal brush, and for example we have blue, red next to each other, and now I pick a mixer brush tool and I put down the alt button and click over here, then here on the top you can see that it copies this area. Now if I paint with the mixer brush tool, it's actually using that area as if it's sunken into the brush. So that's the paint. Now with this you can really add some texture to your painting. Because the mixer brush tool only copies from the layers you're working on, we need to merge every layer together. Be sure to copy all the layers and then merge them into one single layer. Now the cool thing about this stage is that we've already thought about values, we've already thought about hue and saturation and composition. Now we can just focus on texture. And in this step we focus on two things. Again, we'll be working with small, short brush strokes, and we're working on the angle of the brush strokes. On the table I'm using a horizontal angle, while in the background I'm using a more circular angle. Our painting is really starting to take shape. In our last step, we're just going to focus on the small details, some highlights here and there, and some line art. Although we're adding more contrasts in this stage, try to stay away from a pure white or pure black. And there you have it, a painting of a bouquet in a Van Gogh style. Now I hope you guys liked it and feel inspired to try these 8 steps yourself. If you want to use the same brushes like I did, or you want to have a close look into the Photoshop file, then head over to my Gumroad. There I've put them together in the Van Gogh art pack, and you can download them for a small fee. For now, have an awesome day and enjoy painting. Bye bye.